Hi, my name is Pete Hahn, and thank you for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to visit www.hahn-tech.com for the full library of video tutorials. I hope this video increases your knowledge and helps you become more efficient with this topic, whether for home or work. Please support this channel by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Hi guys, welcome to the demo video for the TradeStation Premium Indicator called Daily Average True Range Levels. I'm very excited as this is our second premium indicator offered for the TradeStation platform, and I think you're going to be very excited when you see how prices react to these average true range levels. Let me take a moment to briefly review what we're going to cover in the video, and then we'll dig right into the details. So the first thing we're going to do is explain how to install the indicator once you purchased it. And the next step is we're going to show you the settings and how to adjust the settings. Right after that, we're going to go through and review some historical charts. Right now I've got the indicator set up with a 15-minute chart, and it only plots on the current day's intraday data. Those levels are actually taken from the daily time frame. So it's taking the daily average true range, and it's taking the previous daily close or settlement price in the case of futures contracts, and then from that it's computing the daily average true range levels on the intraday data. And then you've also got a couple of other lines thrown in there. And so what I want to do is show you some historical charts so that you can see how prices tend to react at these levels. And trust me, once you see the prices react at these levels and how consistently they react at these levels, you're immediately going to see opportunities for trade setups. I'm not going to tell you how to make money using this indicator. My job is to find out from the professionals exactly what they need on their charts and write the code to present it in a usable and user-friendly way. Before we get started with the installation instructions, let's go ahead and review the disclaimer, which is, as I stated, I am not a professional trader. I write code for a living. I don't earn my living trading stocks. Nothing in this video should be interpreted as an advertisement or a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. Trading involves risk, and that risk means that you may lose all or even more than the money you have deposited in your broker's account. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and review the installation instructions. Then we'll go ahead and go through the settings, and then we'll get into the real meat of the video, which is the historical data, basically a back testing of sorts, so that I can show you how these levels are in play almost every day of the week across stocks, across futures contracts, even Forex. The installation instructions begins with the email that you receive from Hahn-Tech. As you can see here on my Gmail account that I've got set up for testing, I have two emails. One is from Hahn-Tech LLC. This is the email that is an auto response when you place an order. And it gives you a brief summary of your order as well as a description of what's next in the process. Okay? So once you get an email like this, then you will receive an email also from PayPal. It's a different email. It's not coming from Hahn-Tech. It's coming from PayPal. It contains a link to an invoice. Once that invoice is paid, then you will receive another email from Hahn-Tech, and this one is going to actually come directly from me. And it's going to be the same subject line, and you're going to see that you have your order details are located here. You're going to have a confirmation that the invoice had been paid. Then you're going to have an attachment. If we scroll down to the bottom of this email, here we see where the attachment is. You can see the name of the attachment. You can see the file extension is .eld. This is an easy language document, and this is what you will import into your TradeStation platform. So we simply download it by pressing the download button. Once that is complete, you can go ahead and select this arrow here, and from that arrow you can select Show in Folder. Now what this does is it simply opens the folder where that file is located. Because you can't open the file directly, you have to import it into your TradeStation platform. So if you want to see where it was downloaded on your computer, click Show in Folder, and you can see that it is in the Downloads folder. Now that's the default setting for most web browsers. The only reason it would be going someplace else is because you manually changed that, and you should be well aware of where that location is. Okay, so we don't need to do anything at this point with this file. As I said, you cannot open a file. It must be imported into your TradeStation. But you need to know where it's at in order to do the import. So next step is we go to TradeStation. Let's open up a blank chart. And it's very simple. From this stage, you just right-click on the chart and you select Insert Analysis Technique. And down here at the bottom, you can see a button called Import. And once you click that button for Import, you have a couple of choices. And what you're going to select is using Import Export Wizard. From here, we want to make sure that we select Import Easy Language File. Remember that file extension, ELD, it's listed here among two others. And then you select Next. Now we need to tell it where the import file is located. Now remember, we located it in our Downloads folder. So we simply click Browse and then select Downloads. And there you can see the file that we downloaded from the email. From here you simply click Open and then you select Next. And I don't need to finish this right here. You just continue to click Next and Finish, and whatever prompts come up about adding new functions, then you just go ahead and click and confirm all of the dialogue that comes up. I'm not going to go through that process right here because this file is already installed on my platform and I don't necessarily want to overwrite it. So you can see how the import process works. If you've purchased TradeStation Premium Indicators before, then you are already familiar with how to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and press Cancel, and then we'll go ahead and minimize this chart because we no longer need this. So in the next section of the video, we're going to review the settings. And the first step in adjusting the settings, I want to go back to the installation process, and we're going to show you how to go ahead and install the indicator or add the indicator to a chart. So we've already shown you now how to import the file that you receive via email into your TradeStation platform. Now we're going to just show you the process for adding it to a chart. This should be already very familiar to you, so you simply right-click on the chart, and from the shortcut menu that appears, you select Insert Analysis Technique. So now let me show you a quick shortcut on how to locate the Hahn-Tech Premium Indicators that you have downloaded and installed onto your TradeStation platform. Just click and select any of the indicators in the list of analysis techniques and type H on your keyboard. All of the Hahn-Tech indicators are preceded with the letters HT for Hahn-Tech. And that's a quick and handy way to get to your list of Hahn-Tech indicators that you've installed on your platform. Notice we have HT Daily ATR Levels version 1, that's what the V1 stands for, and then you select OK. And then the indicator is now added to your chart. Now I've already got a chart set up, so we can minimize this one, and now we can review the settings. So we right-click anywhere on the chart, and this time we select Format Analysis Techniques. And from this box, what we do is we make sure we select the indicator HT Daily ATR Levels V1. We're going to select Format. So let's go ahead and review all of the inputs. As I begin to review the settings, I would like to point out that the plots that you see on the intraday time frame for today's trade data, those lines are trend lines. Those are not plots. So in order to adjust the color or the style of the lines, even the line thickness, you must do so using these inputs. If you go over to this other tab, Style, and you can see these plots located here. And you can see that there's different styles that you can set for each one, in addition to the color. If you see these, all of these are plots. And what I want to point out to you is that those only apply to the historical data plots. So the style and color tabs, when you're formatting the indicator, will only apply to historical data and not the intraday data that's plotted on today's time frame. Okay? I wanted to point that out. It's very important that you understand that. Okay, first one is the ATR length. No need to really explain that. You have Apply Level Alerts. This is how you turn your alerts on or off for specific levels. Now, in order to enable alerts, there is an additional step That is covered later on in the video where we show you how the alerts are triggered and how to adjust these settings. So we'll move on to the next. You can see the multipliers, and these are the level multipliers of +1, +2, and +3. You can see that you've got a level 50, a level 100, and a level 120. So basically what that is multiplier level +1 defaults to 50. That is 50% of the daily average true range. And the 100 means it's 100% of the daily average true range. And then you have the 120. Well, that simply means it's 120% of the daily average true range. And so you can set the minus levels independent from the plus levels. So on the levels that are above the +50, +100, +120, you can set those independently from the levels that are below. Next, you have the ability to adjust the color for each of the levels. You can see that when you change the color level for plus or -1, that's going to affect the levels that are above and below the daily close. And you can see that you can adjust the color input. Now, the colors that you type into this input must be from a specific list of, I think it's 16 different colors. Let me bring up the list of colors that are available for you to select. So all you do is type in TradeStation, all one word, and colors, and then it's usually the first option in the search results here. I'm going to go ahead and open that up in a new tab. Let's zoom into that a little bit so you can see that a little bit more clearly. You can see that we have our current setting set to magenta, and that is one of 16 colors available for the trend lines. And so you can adjust the color for each of the 3 levels, and then the same thing with the style. You can see that level 1 is set to dashed, level 2 is set to solid, as well as level 3. Let me show you where those are available. We'll go back to a Google search, and all I did was type in TradeStation Trendline Styles, and then I just go ahead and open up the very first result, and you can see a description. Oh, that's zoomed in quite a bit. You can see the description here. Now it's kind of, unless you're a developer, you don't really spot these right away. In fact, I had to look for it a little bit too. So you see here the style is part of a enumerated value, so you can go ahead and click on that. That's a clickable link. We go to style type, and here are your options. So you've got solid, dotted, dashed, -2, and -3. Those are the styles that are available, and as you can see in the inputs, you would simply append that with the word tool with an underscore followed by the style that you want to apply. The other setting that you can apply is the line width. So you can see that we've got a line width of 1, a line width of 2, and a line width of 3 corresponding with each level. You can adjust those. That's simply a numeric value. You just put a positive integer in there of some kind, something greater than 0. Let's scroll down a little bit and we can look at the rest of these settings. Show previous day high. So it's set to true. So I want to point out each of these levels first. So you've got a previous day high, previous day low, previous day close. So those are the 3 additional lines that you have along with the daily average true range. Those lines also are plotting from a daily time frame. So it's pulling it from yesterday's daily candle, and it's picking the high, the low, and the close and plotting them on today's intraday data. So for each one of these lines, you can turn it on and off. You set it to true or false. And then you can set the color, the style, and the line width, okay, or the size. So same thing for each of these 3 lines. So that kind of covers all of those. Now we've got display labels. That is set to true in this case. We can set that to false, and I'll show you what that looks like. I'll click OK. And you can see that the labels on the graph have now disappeared. Let's go back to Format. Scroll down to the bottom here. And we'll change display labels back to true because for the video I want you to be familiar with these levels, and the best way to do that is to have those labels present. And what we're going to also show you is align labels left. Let me go ahead and leave it set to false. I'm going to hit OK to go ahead and display those labels. Let me move this down a little bit and let me show you this. So let's go to Format, scroll down here. We're going to change align labels left to true and watch what happens to the labels as I click OK. So you can see that this way the labels will display in the price action of the chart. Now this is handy if you don't have any empty fill space on the right of the last candle on the chart. But it does tend to muddy up the price action, so by default we go ahead and set that setting to false. And extend lines right, that setting is set to true by default. You can also probably imagine already what's going to happen when I click OK. I changed the label settings, so those are now right justified, and then you can see that the lines are not extending to the right into the empty fill space to the right of the candle. So let's see, we scroll down, I think there's one more setting. Yeah, let me set this back to true. That is the default. Display historical lines. So this is the last setting, and it's very appropriate because that's the next section of the video. So we're going to go ahead and turn on historical lines. I'll set that to true. We'll click OK and we'll click close. Now I want you to let your eyes adjust to the chart. I want you to look at those labels on the far right hand side, because as we scroll the chart and look at historical data, we won't be able to identify those labels. So I want you to get used to the colors for each line, the line width of each line, and I want you to get used to the style, dotted versus solid, and that will help. And I notice already that I need to make some corrections here. So let me go ahead and adjust some of these historical plots to match the way the lines are displayed on the intraday data. Okay, and I was just about to do all that work without you watching, and then I realized, it's probably helpful for folks to be able to see how this adjustment is made and what effect it has. For instance, I identified the red line on the chart, which is the previous day low. You see in the intraday price action for today's trading, it's a dashed line. And so I want to change that style to match on the historical plot. Notice on the historical plot, it's a solid line. So I want to hit OK and see the result, and now the line style matches in the historical data. So go to Format, and we'll do the same for these others. Now I notice, for instance, the ATR 100, the minus 100 and the minus 120, which is the level -2, that needs to be increased in weight, as well as level -3. So go ahead and hit OK and check out, yes, that's perfect. And actually we really want to have level, this is really good that I get to show you guys, because you're going to get a really good feel for exactly how all of these adjustments are made and how they affect the plot. So let's go back to Format, and then we've got the previous day close and the previous day high. Those also need to be adjusted to dashes. We'll hit OK. And now let's close this and let's step back and review and make sure that everything that's plotted historically has the same line style and general line thickness as what we have on the intraday time frame plotted for today. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin reviewing the historical data. Now as we review the historical data, what I want you to take away from this is what happens when prices reach any of these key levels. And in particular, I want you to focus on the ATR plus and minus 50, the ATR plus and minus 100, and especially the ATR plus and minus 120. You will notice as we review the historical data that there are also price reactions at the previous day close, previous day high, and previous day low. Those are key levels, and they are almost always a key factor during any given trading day, but focus mostly on those ATR levels. So for this view here, without even scrolling left or right, I want to point out a few things. Let me go ahead and activate the crosshairs on the chart so that I can mark on the chart here with the crosshairs. You see this little section right here where you have right at the open the prices surge and slam right into the ATR 100. That's the ATR plus 100. Prices are immediately rejected. They sort of get hung up here at the minus 50. You can see this is the minus 50 area right here, but that didn't last, and it fell right back into the previous day close. Well, when it rallied from the previous day close, and they call that the gap fill, by the way. I learned this from my trading buddy Larry. Larry loves this indicator. In fact, he was one of the key people responsible for me getting this released out into the public and configured exactly with all of the things that a professional trader really needs. But you can see that as prices were rejected at the previous day close, what happened as they rallied higher, they got stuck right there at the ATR plus 50. I think I called that the ATR minus 50 earlier, but it is the ATR plus 50. So very definitely a key level. You can see over here, right off the open, prices sold off right into the ATR minus 50. Yes, that is the ATR minus 50. Rallied right into the previous day high, which also happened to be the previous day close. Now this is something my trading partner Larry really keys in on. When he's got two levels that are right on top of each other, he calls that confluence, and that gives him a little bit of extra assurance that he's going to be able to have an effective trade right there at that level. And you can see as prices were rejected there, they again fell to what? Oh, the ATR minus 50. So you can see kind of how this starts to work out. It's just very, very interesting. And I think that you guys are beginning to identify already some really good opportunities for trading these levels. Let's go ahead and look at the cues for a little bit. And we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because we've got a lot more to show you guys. We got alerts. Oh yeah, we got to show you guys how to do the alerts. And we're going to show you, there's another version. There's a pro version of this. Yes, I didn't mention that yet, but there's a pro version. You might have seen it on the chart. And the pro version has got extra bells and whistles. Then we're going to show you how to place an order. So let's go ahead and look at the cues and see if we can identify anything here of interest. So you've got the minus 50 level here where prices, they actually front ran that level, and then they rallied the rest of the day. They got hung up here at the previous day close, you can see there, but they finally held right here at the previous day low and rallied into the close. And let's see, we can scroll back a little bit. Let me see if there's anything of interest here, back here. Oh, here's a good one. Yeah, remember I told you pay very close attention to the ATR 120. The ATR 120 on any given day is sort of like hitting a daily pivot R3 or R4. Okay, it's beyond what's the expected range of that day. And so it typically is a very strong influencer of price. Look at this, how the prices now, and also you want to look at how prices, once they got up above the ATR plus 50, they just kind of marched right on into the ATR 100. You see an opportunity for a trade there, don't you? I know you do. I wish I could make money with this stuff. I tell you, I'm just so much better at writing code. So you can see that the prices got hung up here for about an hour right at the ATR 100 before finally at the end of the day in the last hour or so finally rallying right into the ATR 120. So let's go ahead and switch over to a different type of instrument. We can show you some futures, but I don't really have much available because I have a limited data feed. We can look at the E-mini S&P, which is going to be similar to SPY, the SPY ETF. We can scroll, and you can see now that these levels that are plotting on today's intraday data, because we're in the overnight session, they have already updated to the levels that are appropriate for tomorrow's trade. So let's go ahead and scroll to the right here and look at the E-mini. You can see we've got a lot more 15-minute bars because it's a 24-hour chart. And you can see again where these levels are being a very strong influence on prices. So you can see here, this is probably corresponding to what we saw on SPY. You can see that the ATR minus 50 held very, very strongly. Now I'll give you a heads up. My trading partner Larry, he doesn't really trade the ATR 50s. He's always focused on the 100s and the 120s. For him, they are a higher percentage. But I don't want to try to explain to you what's right and what's wrong. You look at the chart, you work with the indicator, make your own choices, but you can see definitely that the ATR plus and minus 50 were bookmarks. They had a stranglehold over the price action for the entire day. They were the bounds of the price for that day. So we can scroll a bit to the right here. We can see that in this case, wow, and this happens occasionally. And what happens is if you're trying to fade the ATR 100 and the ATR 120 on a day like this, you probably get run over, you know, but it's a rare kind of event. Most often what happens is prices roll over. But you can see that as prices got hung up here at the ATR plus 50, again, that's a key level, and once it broke through and gained some freedom there, then it broke loose and just kept running. And you can see that the next day we opened right up into the ATR 120, and what happened? We couldn't go any further, and then prices kind of sold off back to what? Oh, look at this, the ATR plus 50. So you can kind of get an idea of how these levels are very important in intraday trading. So let's look at some more. And sorry guys, I really wish that I had access to more futures contracts, you know, like for instance gold and crude oil. I was able to show at least crude oil, I think, and soybeans on the version of this video that we did for Sierra Chart. So you might want to go and check that one out too and review the section where we showed the historical data because we covered a few more instruments on there that I'm going to be able to cover on TradeStation. So let's go ahead and look at the Aussie Yen pair and see where we've got for that. Go ahead and scroll backward till we get some data on the chart here. Okay, so you can see we've got ATR plus 50 is in play here, and that was the cap of the day, and they really never even made it to the plus 50 on this day. You can see here at this point right here, you can see that the price action held right here for about an hour, right at the ATR minus 50. And then what happened? It blasted through, it fought its way back, and what happened? It could never get back above, and it fell back down, and it tried again, and even here towards the end of the day, it tried to get back up through that level and failed. And on the following day, it opened up near the ATR 100, which we're already at extremes. As you know, the ATR 120 is typically the extreme of the day if it occurs. You can see that that level was in play throughout the entire day of trade. So let's look at futures. Let's look at the euro dollar futures. Okay, let's scroll through the chart here and take a look. You can see right here, right off the bat, the ATR minus 50 is in play. And also you can see the previous day close and the previous day high were also very prevalent. And look at that, even at the end of the day, even after the ATR minus 50 had been all chewed up earlier in the day, it was still a factor in the trading prices. Scroll back here, and we have a similar action right here as we see this price pulls right down to the ATR plus 50. It holds, and then it rallies back up, and what? It stops almost to the tick. I'll bet you if you looked at that, I'll bet you that is right to the tick. There's the data box right there. You can see the high of the bar, 1877, and you can see ATR level, it's 18775. It is right to the tick that it stopped at the ATR 100, fell back down, made another attempt, almost made it to the 120, rolled over again. Well, you can see it for yourself right there. And you can see in the previous day too, the ATR 100 was in play. So guys, again, this is going to be a long video as it is. I could go through this all day long and we could look at stock charts. Let me look at least one or two stock charts for you. Just picking one at random here, guys. I just pick one at random. Look at this right here. The ATR 100 and 120 was the low of the day. It rallied into the close. And you can see the ATR minus 50 was in play earlier before it fell, and it was in play at the end of the day as it tried to rally back to the close. And so, you know, I mean, I don't really need to cover much more of this, do I? Isn't it pretty obvious? Isn't it just jumping right off the chart at you? The opportunities for trades here. So that's what I wanted to show you on the historical data review. And let's go ahead and move on to alerts. In this section of the video, we're going to demonstrate how you can adjust your alert settings for the Daily ATR Levels Indicator. We're going to show you how to turn the alerts on and off for various levels. Notice there are 3 levels. You've got the ATR 50, the ATR 100, and we also have the ATR 120. By default, only the alerts on the ATR 120 are enabled. The other two must be turned on manually. And there's an additional step required, which I will demonstrate right now. So we right-click on the chart and we select Format Analysis Techniques. Then we select Format, and you can see that we have alert level 3 is set to true, but alert level 2 and 1 are set to false. So you can see these multipliers down here just so you can make the connection. The multiplier for level 1 is 50. That's your 50 ATR. And then the multiplier for level 2 is the 100 ATR. The multiplier for level 3 is the 120 ATR. And you have positive and negative versions of each, and you can adjust those independently. You can set them to whatever value you feel is most useful. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to turn on the alert for the level 2, and that's going to turn on the alert for both the positive and the negative alert level 2, which is the 100 ATR. The 100 ATR and the minus 100 ATR. Okay, there's one more step remaining, and now we need to go to the Alerts tab on the Format Indicator dialog. We need to check this box to enable the alert. Otherwise, the previous step is of absolutely no use whatsoever. We're going to set this to alert once per bar. Good. Yep, that's set, and we want to clear that on bar close. Next, I'm going to select some custom settings here, configure, and this is going to allow me to set a sound. And I'm going to check this right here. This is kind of a sound that's very distinctive for me, and I like to use it for the demo videos. And we're going to make a visual pop-up as well. You'll see that in the bottom right-hand corner. We'll press OK, and now our alerts are set up. We can press OK, and then we can close this dialog box here. Now, as you can see, this current bar is short of the ATR 100 level, and the next bar is going to break above and through that ATR level, and it's going to trigger the alert. Now, I'm using a trick here that I discovered where I was able to export chart data out of TradeStation, put it into a text file, and that allows me to do sort of a bar replay. So you're not going to see a live bar hit that alert. What we're going to do is we're going to refresh the chart, and that is going to add the next bar and set off the alert. Okay? There we are. You can see in the bottom right hand corner the pop-up alert with the message that explains what level was hit, and then you can also see that the bar that we added to the chart pierced through that 100 ATR level. Next, I'm going to explain how you can adjust how the alerts are triggered, in that, let's say you wanted the alert to trigger before you got to that ATR 100. You wanted an early advance notice, so to speak. And so there's a setting in here that I'm going to demonstrate next, and then we're going to take some bars off the chart and add them back on so you can see how the alert gets triggered ahead of the level that you want to be triggered. So let's begin by taking a couple of bars off the chart. Okay, great, and then we'll right click on the chart and we'll select Format Analysis Techniques, and then we'll select Format. Make sure that we go to the inputs. And then I want you to notice this setting right here. It's called quantity of ticks before alert level. It's very descriptive, so it should be easy to remember. We're going to set this to 10 because we want the alert to trigger 10 ticks, and it's always measured in ticks. So regardless of what instrument you're charting, it knows what the tick size is, and it will adjust automatically to the tick size of the instrument that you're charting. So we want this to alert 10 ticks before any of the alerts. This is applicable to all alert types, levels 1, 2, and 3, not just particular level. Okay, just to be clear. So we'll select OK and hit close. And the next thing we'll do is we'll add a bar to the chart so that we can watch this alert get triggered ahead of the ATR 100. Okay, there you are. You see the alert notification in the bottom right, and you heard the audible alert that goes along with that. And so now you understand how you can adjust the alert so that it occurs ahead of the line rather than waiting for the price to cross that line. Okay, so hopefully that explains things pretty clearly, but we are going to show you a couple of more examples. I have a few more of these. I can't show you a lot of these because the process for creating these events is very laborious. You have to export a bunch of data into a file, then you have to import it under a different ticker symbol. It's complicated. Maybe I'll do a video on it someday for those who might be interested in doing it themselves. I don't know what value it has other than it helps me to do a demo video and show you some alerts without sitting here and recording a chart all day long. Next up, we're going to look at a signal on the E-mini Dow. And I've got my chart set up with E-mini Dow loaded on the chart, and we're going to have, I think, two signals on this one. We're going to hit the 100 ATR and the 120 ATR. I just have to add some bars to the chart. Before we do so, let me go ahead and update the settings. We'll right click and select Format Analysis Techniques. Make sure we select our indicator and select Format. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the quantity of ticks before alert level back to the default value of 0. And notice we have level 2 alerts turned on as well as level 3 alerts are turned on. Okay. Then we'll click OK and we'll close this, and now we can add some bars to the chart. And you can see the alert down in the lower right. This is the ATR plus 100. We've pierced through that line, and let's add another bar to the chart. And there we go. We've got another alert here with the ATR 120. Okay. So just wanted to show you guys that one. Let's see, I've got one more. This is going to be the Aussie Yen Forex pair. Okay, and now I've got my chart loaded with the Aussie Yen currency pair. You can see right now, as we've got the chart set up, it's already bounced off of the ATR 100. Actually, that is the ATR minus 100. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some bars to the chart, and we're going to see the alerts trigger. And we may get to see two alerts on this round. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. We've got the bar, the low of this bar is right on the minus 100 ATR, and if the next one crosses below it, we may or may not get a signal there. Let's go ahead and add some bars to the chart and see how it goes. I'm sorry about that. Let me scroll back till we get to the signal. Alright, so we didn't, and the reason why we didn't get an alert here on this bar is because the previous bar has to be above the ATR. It looks like that low pierced right to it, and so it's got to be actually above that level, otherwise it's not going to alert. That prevents repeat alerts when the price tends to chop around right at the level. You don't want a bunch of false alarms. So let's add another bar to the chart, and we'll see if we can get a trigger on the ATR minus 120. Once again, I've got to scroll a little bit to the right. This is just one of the casualties of having to do it this way, using the technology in the way it is. Let's add another bar to the chart. What we've got here, so I'll scroll back again. Okay, it looks like some front runners came in and grabbed that level before it got to pierce that level, so we'll add another bar to the chart. And here we have our alert showing up in the lower right. And we can scroll back here and we can see actually what happened is we got a trigger on the ATR minus 100. And that was because we had sufficient number of bars, actually it only takes one bar, above the level of the ATR minus 100. And then that enabled the alert to be triggered again. We'll go ahead and add another bar to the chart. You can see that price is still reacting pretty strongly at this level. This is very typical. And there we go, we've got another alert, this one on the ATR minus 120. Scroll back to the price action here and you can see that it did pierce below the ATR minus 100. So we actually got to see two alerts on the Aussie yen, and we got to see a little bit of what the price action looks like when we get down around these price levels, around these key levels. So that's all I've got for the alerts, and on to the next section of the video. So I hope that you enjoyed watching the alert section of the video, and after reviewing the historical data and the alert section, I'm sure that you have a very good idea of whether or not this indicator is going to be useful for you in your trading. And I'm sure that it probably opened your eyes to some new opportunities that you might not have had before without an indicator like this. So I want to show you how to go to our website and place an order for this indicator. Before doing so though, I just know that some of you are asking about different time frames or chart types. And I want to show you that, so we're going to review a few different charts. So we want to go to a tick chart. Let's switch over to a futures contract, and let's go to the ES, and let's turn off the historical data plots. So we'll right click on the chart, select Format Analysis Techniques. We'll format the indicator, scroll to the very bottom, and change the historical data plotting from true to false. And I want to show you a 512 tick chart, so we'll change this to a 512 tick chart so you can see that all the levels plot correctly there. And I'm really not familiar with all of the various tick charts that one might use, but I do know that there is an upper limit, and I'm not exactly certain why, but when you change it to 2000 tick, then everything gets plotted all on one bar. And I'll go ahead and dig into this, and when you place your order, be sure to include in the comments section if you have any concerns about a particular value of tick chart that you use on a regular basis. This may be due to being the fact that we're in after hours right now, we're in the overnight session. It may also be that we have the transition from Sunday night trade to Monday overnight trade is causing an issue here. It may resolve itself tomorrow morning when the market opens. I'll be sure to check it before we publish the video, but I want you to notice that if we change it back to a 512, everything plots correctly. Okay guys, and just a quick little update. You recall that I was having issues with the 2000 tick chart of the E-mini S&P, and that was during after hours trade yesterday evening. Well, today I find that the 2000 tick chart is plotting just fine. So I believe what we have here is an issue that's going to occur in the after hours session before midnight East Coast time. 2000 tick chart and above, not going to work on the E-mini S&P. Once you get past midnight, everything should plot correctly. As I said previously, if you have any question whatsoever, by all means put that in the comments section when you place the order. I'll show you how to do that. Just let me know what time frames you want me to check for you, and I'm more than happy to send you screenshots before you place your order. And the next thing I want to do is get into some other chart types, like I want to show you some range bars and some volume bars, and well, let's see what else we can get ourselves into here so I get you guys a good overview of what different types of chart types and price bars will function correctly with this indicator. Okay, so let's go ahead and try a range bar chart. I'm going to right click on the chart, going to select Format Symbol. You think that you might go to Format Chart, but that's not where it's located. You format symbol, and it's right here on the Settings tab, the very first tab of that screen. And we can see down in the bottom section we can choose Range. Now you can go ahead and click on this little question mark here. I encourage you to make sure you read the description because it gives you some very important information on how you can set up your range bars. We'll close that. I'm going to set this, because we're using E-mini, I'm going to set this to 0.75. Now E-mini moves in 0.25 increments, and so I want is a range bar of 3 ticks wide. Okay, there we go. We've got that going now, and you can scroll back and you can see the indicator is plotting correctly on that chart. Right here, what we do is we go to grab the panning tool, and we can shrink that down a little bit, and we can view all of the lines on the chart, and there you have it. Okay, so now let's look at a volume chart. Format symbol, change this to volume. Now I'm going to have to take a stab here because you're basically saying how much volume per bar. This is the E-mini, If I wanted to take time, I would go and look at the current volume. So we'll press cancel here and try to scroll over to see the volume on this instrument. So we got the E-mini and it's 560 volume. Okay, so we can take the 560 volume divided by, what is this now? We're almost at the close, so divide that by 7. We've got 80,000 per. So let's give it a 5,000 volume. We'll right click, select format symbol, select volume, change that volume to, did I say 5,000? There you go. So now you've got 5,000 volume per bar, and you can see now that it also, the indicator is plotting just fine with that. So let's see what other charts we can get into. And let's see, we want to try another chart here. I think since the volume bars and the range bars both work, I think that probably indicates we're going to be okay with the other types of range bars. If you look here, we got CAGI, we got case. I don't know what line break is, but we got momentum bars. Certainly if volume works, then momentum bars will work. The question is point and figure, and Renko charts. The Renko chart should work without any problem either. And what do we do here? We'll do the same thing as we did. We'll do a 3-tick size Renko, hit OK. Let me scrunch that down so you can see. Yep, okay, so we got good, pretty tight range today. You can see a 3-tick Renko only spans, two dozen bars. Okay, so right click and we go to format analysis technique, format symbol. And what I want to show you is the point and figure. I already know how this is going to turn out, but I want you guys to see this. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. And you can see the chart plots. However, all of the values are set to 0. All of the lines that are supposed to plot the ATR 50, the ATR 100, the ATR 120, previous day open, high, low, close. Okay, all that stuff doesn't plot. We go to format symbol and we can select scaling. And what this setting does is it simply causes the indicator to change the range, the price range of the chart, so that all of the indicator is displayed on the chart. We'll put OK. And you can see we've got a bunch of zeros, and we really don't have any way to display that information on the chart with the point and figure. Okay, so the point and figure, everything plots on one level right here, and it just shrinks everything up. And so really there's no way that you can plot this indicator using the point and figure. Okay, so what are we going to get into next? I want to show you how to place an order. So we're going to show you the website, show you what page on the website to go to. We've made it really easy. You just go hit the button on the menu and it takes you right to the page where we've got all of our premium indicators, and there's a form that you fill out. I'll explain all that. I want to show you the pro version that we're offering on this indicator before we get into that. The pro version, yes. So we're offering 2 versions of this indicator. We're offering the standard version as well as the pro version. Let me clean up these charts and load the pro version and then briefly describe the changes or the differences between the standard version and the pro version. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added another chart to the view. The chart on the right is going to continue to contain the standard version of the indicator, which I have demonstrated throughout the video. The one on the left, I'm going to right click, select Format Analysis Techniques. I'm going to hit the status button to turn off the standard version, and then I'm going to select the pro version, and we're going to hit the status on that and hit close, and that will then go ahead and bring that into view. Now it still contains everything that's in the standard version. In addition, it also contains the overnight high and overnight low. It also contains a couple of other lines, and we'll go ahead and maximize this chart a little bit. You got the side-by-side view here, right? So we're going to go ahead and open this up a little bit so we can see the whole action. We're going to change this to a 15-minute chart, and then we're going to go ahead and go to the settings. We're going to go to Format Analysis Techniques, and markets are about to close here, so you may hear a bell. And we go to the pro version and we select Format. And when we view the settings for this one, what we'll notice is that we've got some extra lines available here. We also have some extra settings. So we've got a day session open time. We're going to change that to 8:30 because this chart I think is based on exchange time. We can check that. And the next one we want to set to 9:30 because that would be Chicago time opening and the Chicago time first hour close. Let's hit OK and close, and you can see how those bars updated. Let me go ahead and open that up a little bit so you can see a little bit more detail. We'll right click and we'll select format symbol, and then we'll check the time setting on the chart. Nope, it's set to local time, so I want to set it to exchange time. We'll hit OK, and then once again you will see the day session open and the day session first hour close update accordingly. So what that's doing is that's picking up the first hour close based upon the exchange. So you can either set this to local time or exchange time. Yeah, I told you were going to hear a bell. So you can either set this to local time or exchange time. Okay, that is the chart, but you need to know what your chart is set to. So right click on the chart, select format symbol, and in the settings tab right up front here at the very bottom you have your time zone. You only have two choices. Local is going to be your computer time. Exchange is going to be the exchange time. Exchange time in the case of a futures contract for CME is going to be Chicago time, Central Time US. So keep that in mind when you're adjusting the first hour open, which is this yellow line right here, the day session open, and the first hour close. Okay, so basically what we've got is an opening range. Between those two lines, that's your opening range. And then we've got the overnight low and the overnight high. Those are taken from the 24-hour session. Okay, so you can see right here the overnight high is picked up right here on this bar, and then you have the overnight low is picked up right here on this bar right here. That's before the open. As soon as the open happens, those two lines, the overnight high and the overnight low, are locked in place. So when prices move below the overnight low in this section here, that line is not updated because it's fixed to whatever the range of the overnight high and low was. Okay, so this is the Pro version, and again I'll right click and select Format Analysis Techniques, and we'll take one more quick glance at the settings. You can see what is new here is the overnight low, the overnight high, the day session open and the day session open time, as well as the first hour close time and whether or not to show the first hour close. So that's it. So you've got all those extra items that are available. Everything else is the same, and when you include those other items on your indicator, then you've got some additional key levels, which, well, I mean, look at this. I mean, do I have to really explain it? Let me zoom into this a little bit so you can see it more clearly. Where are we closing the day? At the overnight session high. Okay, well, that should be enough to let you understand that these are additional key levels. You can see here during the day session, during the cash session, the overnight low, even though it did bleed through a little bit, it certainly was a factor. It seemed to be a magnet of some kind. And you can see also the day session open was also a factor in price action right here, as well as the first hour close. Those were also in play later on in the day. We could go and review a bunch of other charts, but I really don't have time. I know this video is probably getting to be over an hour now, and I really need to show you guys how to place the order. And again, if you need to see additional screenshots, just drop it in your request when you place your order. So let me show you how to place the order now. And here's the website that you can use to place your order. And it's very easily accessed from our website. And if you just go to the main site on our website, Hahn-Tech.com, click on Premium Chart Indicators right there on the menu, and then this page will open up, and you can see that we have various sections. We have a section for Thinkorswim, we have a section for TradeStation, and then we also have a section for Sierra Chart. You can see it in each section. We list each of the indicators that we have available. The indicator that I've been demonstrating in this video will be placed here where you see the under construction sign, and that's going to be called the Daily ATR Levels. And in order to place your order, you can simply click on this right here where it says click to open TradeStation order form. You go ahead and click that, and you go ahead and scroll down, and then you fill in your first and last name, your email address. Those are all required. And then you make your selections. Right now all we've got listed here are the divergence indicators. And if there are any discounts applied, they will show up here as you make your selections. The discounts are applied. If there are no discounts, then your selection that you made doesn't include discounts. What we're going to do is add the daily average true range levels indicator right below the divergence indicators right here. And there'll be a radio button. You will select either the standard version or the pro version. And the pricing will be listed by the time we publish this video. Right now this is a live page on our website, so I really can't update the form until after I publish the video. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, for instance, you want to see some screenshots from different time frames or different chart types, by all means, you just click this box right here. It says, I have a comment or a question. You can type right in here. Whatever you put in this box right here gets sent along with your order submission. Okay? We've got instructions here at the bottom that tells you what's going to happen next after you hit submit. We've got instructions at the top. Again, we recommend you watch the video before proceeding. In this case, here you are watching the video. That's great. And we just really encourage people to be fully educated and aware before they make a purchase decision. Okay guys, that's all I've got to share with you today. Thanks a lot. Really exciting work here. I've got more indicators to come, so stay tuned. Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to visit www.hahn-tech.com for the full library of tutorials. I hope this video increases your knowledge and helps you become more efficient with this topic, whether for home or work. Please support this channel by sharing these videos with your friends and colleagues. Thanks, and take care.